Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the call today. Yes, you get me today instead of Mr. Thomas. He's still out enjoying the fruits of his labor. So today you get me. And today it is also my honor and privilege to introduce our special guest, which happens to be none other than Mr. Backbone and Posture, all the way from Dallas, Texas. I know you've heard his story before where he was at home. He took a bathroom break while he was working, and his job did not like that. And he knew at that moment that he had to do something different. And something different is what you're seeing today from Mr. Backbone and Posture, Sam Foster. Good morning, sir.
Morning, good afternoon, good evening, ACN family around the globe. If you're tuning in, this is ACN training. This is Friday, and you have turned in at the right time. I want to thank everyone for coming on the call. I know you could have been anywhere, but you chose to be here. So I want to say thank you. I want to give a special shout out to Mr. Thomas, who has continued to be who he is in this industry, not only for us, but for millions upon millions of people across the globe. I want to say thank you, sir. I want to say thank you to Jabri Clemens for always putting all these things together. The technical aspect of it, I don't know. He just does a phenomenal job. So thank you, sir. Also, thank you for everyone on the call, from the CQs to the SVP Platinums. I don't want to leave anybody out. I don't want to get in any trouble with anybody. So I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, with that said, we're going to dive right into the information because, like I always say, I got a long way to go and a short time to get there. Okay. If you're taking notes, we went from doing Mayday, to last week, we did 2-day. And if you're taking notes and you're not driving, of course, the title of this message is This is the Day. That's right. This is the day. And the reason why I titled it This is the Day is because last week we went into a situation where we discussed a few things and we hit a little bit on the newer people that come into ACN. You get qualified and you do your 5 services, $200. If you hadn't seen it, go back to Destiny International. You can always go back, chime in on that, and see those past 2 messages and any message that you want to see. We have a library of messages for the last 2 or 3 years, so you guys are definitely welcome to do that and catch up to speed a little bit. With that said, we kind of hit on box number 4 of the overview, the ACN overview. I want to kind of tap into box number 5 a little bit. We hit it, but I want to hit it a little bit harder because it's distinctive in nature, and I want to touch on that a little bit. First of all, I want to say, if you're coming into ACN, you have tiers that you can catch up on. Of course, we know that we can get paid up to 5 times a month. But a lot of people don't realize how well this plan is balanced. It's designed a certain kind of way for each and every individual to look forward to receiving compensation from the plan. If you work the plan will work. We have guidelines in place to actually get you to where you may want to be. Everybody wants to be somewhere. We want to get you there. All right. With that said, when you're looking at box number 5, that's the box that you can come and look at and say, well, okay, how do I get myself first, my foot wet, my foot in the door? How do I get qualified? Okay, we talked about that a little bit last week. You get your 5 services that get you $200 and yada, yada, yada. So now we're saying we get an opportunity to go from anywhere from $50 to $450. But with that said, I want to take it a step farther. I want to emphasize something that we may not always emphasize because we're looking at getting in and things of that nature. But we also have a bonus on the table every month. That's for the average person that comes into ACN for the first time and gets themselves started. Maybe you missed your bonus month. Maybe last month you got in, and for whatever reason, the light came on. And the light came on, let's say the day after your bonus time was up, which means if you came in last month, let's say May the 19th, April the 19th, and now it's May the 20th. Well, you missed it by a day. Well, every month, ACN also does a bonus for that month. So you get to go back and look at what the bonus is, things of that nature. So that continues to encourage and motivate that average IBO that's in ACN. So you don't have to look at it as I missed something. No, you got an opportunity to put some tread on the tires and to lunge forward. That goes for anybody because we don't want anybody. Our goal is to not want anybody to miss any kind of compensation that's on the table. So with that said, you have an opportunity through the bonus every month to get a lot of things off the table financially that you may have missed. Now, I don't know about you, but if I look at a company that has that sort of mentality in mind, I really have to pay attention to it because I would have thought the average person that I am, I would have thought, well, I missed it. When I first got in, I missed it, yada, yada, yada. I got to do this and that. No, you have a monthly bonus on the table as well. That gives you motivation and it changes every month. So it gives you more motivation to say, I can grab a hold to this, I can do this. I've known personally several people that have got on these monthly bonuses and have climbed up this ladder and took their business to a whole nother level because they keyed in on that bonus. And that's every month consistently, ACN has allowed us to gravitate to a monthly bonus. That's outside of what you may continue to want to do. The sky's the limit. But we want to give somebody an opportunity to recognize that you're not missed and you're not forgotten. You just have to continue to tap in and plug in to what we're doing. And platforms like this allows individuals to do so. Okay. With that said, I want to key in on a few things because I really think that it's important for motivation purposes. A lot of times we can get to a point being independent business owners, we can get to a point where we can feel a little like we losing it a little bit. I don't know how to get my motivation up. Well, in order to get your motivation up, ladies and gentlemen, you may have to dig a little deeper inside yourself. What do you mean, Sam? I mean by when I say that, I mean this, ladies and gentlemen. You may have to ask yourself, what was my why in the beginning? Why did I start doing ACN in the first place? And for a lot of people, it's different. It's not just money. Sometimes it's motivation that I can really do something. I can own my own business. I can run my own business. For some people, it's I got tired of corporate America. I wanted to do my own thing. For some people that's retired, they might not want to make a bunch of money, but they may say, well, I want to make enough where I can travel, I can go on vacation when I want to, things of that nature. I want my bills adequately paid, but I want to be able to move and go as I please. In other words, you got different levels of people that are on the call, different levels of people. So I don't want to leave anybody out. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying not to leave anybody out. You got some people on the call say, the sky's the limit for me. I want to take it to the next level and beyond. So you're looking at people that say, I want to be that SVP Platinum, which is the new position that was just created a few months back. You got those go-getters, you got those sharks, as you will. So, and that's fine too. So in other words, you got different sides of the spectrum, but we're all on the same spectrum, AKA we're all on the same team. All right. With that said, I want the average person as well as the person that's got momentum to always keep in the back of your mind. You got somebody that's looking at you. If you've allowed yourself to expose this opportunity to somebody, somebody's looking at you. But what do you mean, Sam? If you're a brand new person in ACN, somebody's looking at you. The moment that you give somebody this information, they start to look at you. They may not tell you, they may not, you may think they're not watching, but they're sitting back and they're watching. If you invite them to an event, a BOM, if you invite them to a training, they're paying attention. Even if they don't come, they're paying attention. Even when they come, they're paying attention. And I say that not to necessarily put pressure on anybody, anything like that, but that's a good thing. You want people to see what you're doing. You want people to check the credibility of your company. You want that to happen because if they can check the credibility of the company and everything comes back right, that's less they have to talk about. And by the way, just in case everybody didn't understand this, ACN has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I said it. I see eyes bucking. Yeah. For those who don't know, A+ rating, not just the A. Heavy emphasis on the plus. Why? Because we love to say we're doing what we say we're doing. All right. That's important for credibility purpose. The more you can put credibility in front of somebody, the less they have to say. They still may say things, but with a 30-year track record and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and all these other entities that have given us thumbs up, it's just a whole host of people that have given us thumbs up throughout the last 30 years. In other words, we are what we call rock solid. Now, with that said, somebody needs some motivation or a pick me up, right? And we want to get that started. Watch this right now, because this is the day to get yourself jump started. This is the day to get yourself re-energized and remotivated and give yourself a new lease on life when it comes to ACN. This is that time. Not yesterday, I may do it tomorrow. No, this is the day. And the way that you do that is give you guys a story. Many years ago, I used to play football. Believe it or not, I used to be an athlete, okay? And I used to hate us working out in the summertime. And most people know when you play football, most of your training is going to be done in the summertime to get ready for the fall games. And I'm originally from Alabama, and it's hot as fish grease in the deep South in the summertime. And back then, they didn't have all these regulations and rules, and you can only practice this long. No, you practice until you fell out, okay? I mean, you constantly practice, because most people trying to make the team, they're trying to get a certain position, the whole nine. I'm going somewhere with this now. As hard as we practice, I hated this drill called pulling tires. And pulling tires meant you had to strap yourself on to this diesel tire that was filled with concrete. That's right, filled with concrete. And you had to travel with that tire for 100 yards one way and 100 yards back. In the smoldering heat in the summertime in good sweet home Alabama. It was a chore. And every time we would come out on the field, we would look for the tires because, coach may surprise you. And we would look across the field and we see those two tires and we go, because that meant we had to practice. And in order to finish practice, you had to pull those tires 200 yards. I'm going somewhere with this because that means we're going to push it towards AC.
There you go. Get that angle. This is how you have fun outside with a tire and a dog strap. Good. Keep your pace. All the way to the curb. That kind of angle. Awesome for football players, wrestlers, or just smoking your hamstrings, quads, calves, glutes. Come on. Finish. Nice.
200 yards. Did he say that right? I said it right. 200 yards. But I finally realized the 200 yards was for momentum. What do you mean by momentum, Sam? And this is where ACN comes into place. because everybody needs momentum, especially in ACN. I don't care if you just came in 30 years ago or you in for the first time today. You still need that momentum. I found out that those 200 yards, consistently doing those 200 yards, always gave us momentum. Now, let me give you an example how momentum gets transferred from where you started to where you're going. Also, if you're ever familiar with the University of Alabama, Coach Nick Saban, we would commonly say that that's a winning program. I'm going somewhere. I'm scrambled like eggs, but trust me, when we fry these eggs, it's going to be good to you. It's going to be good for you. All right, we're going to shift it to the college ranks. Nick Saban, if you ever seen the University of Alabama, Nick Saban, who's the coach, he has one of the winningest programs ever, not only in college football, but in sports, period. He has a track record of consistently doing a championship or winning a championship every other year for past a decade now. That's unheard of in sports, period. That shows you how dedicated this man has been to his craft. Going somewhere, dedication is important. Dedication is important. Okay. With that said, if you ever seen the University of Alabama in the fourth quarter, they like to do this. They like to throw up fours. And when they throw up those fours, guys, that four is an indication that nobody is better than us in the fourth quarter. They remind themselves, I'm throwing up these fours. Remember last week when I said that 5? That's what you want to keep in the back of your mind yet and still. You want to use something as a motivation tactic because sometimes you might not feel like making that phone call. You might not feel like talking to that individual. You might not feel like piquing that person, but you have to have something as a motivation to say to yourself, I need to be motivated to keep my momentum, to keep myself going. Why? Because the way somebody did it, the way everybody may need to do it when it comes to moving. Remember now, to the right, because we're all trying to hopefully get to that SVP level. And the SVPs do it as well. Why? Because you practice what you preach. Now, with that said, when they lift up those fours for that fourth quarter, that's saying, once again, nobody's better than us on the planet in the fourth quarter. Remember, I talked about those tires. That's what those tires were for. Dig deep inside and ask yourself. Remember, I asked you guys earlier, what were you doing ACN for in the first place? Everybody got their why. Keep that in the back of your mind because you're going to need it sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, to motivate yourself. You're going to need it. In the case of University of Alabama, they put up those fours. That lets them know that they do a program called the fourth quarter program. That means nobody's better than us because we practice harder than anybody. Remember what I said last week, that how you practice is how you play. How you practice is how you play. How you do one thing is eventually how you do everything. You want to give yourself a motivation because there are going to be days when you don't feel like it. But we don't go off a feeling. In ACN, you want to go off your level of consistency because sometimes you're not going to feel like doing much of anything a lot of times. Sometimes you don't feel like going to work, but you go. Why? Because you feel like getting a check. In ACN, it's easy for you sometimes not to be motivated. You might be at a certain level. But remember what I said, somebody's always watching you. So if you get nothing else out of this, keep in the back of your mind, somebody's coming behind me. That should be a great motivation. For somebody, it's sending your kids to college. For somebody, it's putting yourself in a position where if you go in the store, you don't have to look at the price tag. Somebody want to be able to go in the store and just get what you want without observing everything, without going to the sales rack and pulling it. Sometimes you just want to feel like I want to go in here and I want to use my bonus money and I want to, as the young people say, ball out. Now, I'm not trying to tell you to be a spendthrift and go all crazy, But when you determined to put yourself on a certain level, other things come about that other people can't get. And we call that elitist status. And you can get that. But in order for you to get that, just like anything, you have to put in the work. You have to do your homework. You have to be consistent. You have to get on these calls. You have to get on the calls on Tuesday nights and find out how to do certain calls. So you may be called to do a call at one point. You may be called to do one of these calls, one of these leaderships. We started from somewhere. I didn't just pop up and now I'm doing leadership calls. I did my homework. I sat down and I paid attention what other people were talking about. I took my notes, I prayed about it. And when the time came, I wouldn't say I was a pro at it, but I kept going. I kept going. I kept being consistent. And at the end of the day, here we go. And all I'm doing is sharing information of either what I went through or what I've experienced in life that got me to this point. Okay. With that said, you combine a high school aspect of things, you combine a college aspect of things. And right now, I like to think that we are ACN. We are the pros of pros. Okay. We are the pros of pros. We are the NFL of NFL. We are the NBA of NBA. We are the creme de la creme. We are the cream of the crop. And I know we can say that we are all that in a bag of chips because our documentation beats any conversation that we can give anybody. We have that track record. We have that established track record above all else. And we still have less than 1% market share worldwide in what we do. So is there room at the top? Absolutely. Is there still room for growth? Absolutely. Why wouldn't it be? Especially with technology like this. This was a Zoom call. This can go worldwide at the click of a button. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted you guys to have a nugget, something tangible that you can take with you this day. This being the day that you need to re-energize yourself, that you need to motivate yourself, that you need to say to yourself, I'm bigger than where I came from. I'm bigger than where I'm at, and I'm going to be bigger than where I'm going. And we want to bust the compensation plan out with a bang. We want to bust every record that you can think of that somebody has set. Watch this. You can reset that record. Why? Because records were made to be broken, even in ACN. Why do you think we came out with the SVP Platinum? Why? Because records were made to be broken. Now, this is a conversation and a talk for my record breakers. Only record breakers. Because if somebody else could do it, you can do it too. The culmination of what everything has been said, keep your motivation in the right place, keep yourself balanced, and do something every day to push your business forward. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been my time. I hope you have gotten something out of this and allow yourself to realize that this is the day that you kickstart your business and take it to the next level. Thank you.